You think if she's ignoring you, you just need to try harder, show more effort, prove more value. But the harder you chase, the smaller you become. And she feels it. Right now, you're sitting in that quiet panic, checking your phone like it's a heart monitor, replaying the last message, thinking, maybe I said the wrong thing. Maybe she's busy. Maybe I should send something funny, something casual, something that reminds her I exist. And you call it love. You call it interest. You call it not wanting to lose her. No, call it what it is. It's you outsourcing your self-respect to a woman's attention. And before we go any further, you need to do something. Subscribe. Not for me, for you. Because when you're in the emotional fog, you don't need comfort. You need reminders. You need the truth injected into your system before you relapse into chasing, begging, explaining, double texting like a good guy, and calling it romantic. You're not here to be entertained. You're here to be corrected. Here's the thesis, and I want you to let it hit clean. When she ignores you, it doesn't mean try harder. It means one of two things. Either she's not that interested, or she doesn't respect you enough to be clear. And both are solved the same way. You stop chasing and you start leading your life like a man who doesn't negotiate for basic reciprocity. That's what it really means, because the misconception is simple and deadly. You think attention is earned by persistence. You think if you show her you're consistent, if you're there, if you prove you're different, she'll finally see it and choose you. You think her silence is a test you can pass. Hard truth, her silence is the answer. Not always the final answer about her character, but always the final answer about the current dynamic. The dynamic is this: you're investing more than she is. You're emotionally overpaying. You're bidding for her. You're auditioning. And that is exactly why she can ignore you. People don't ignore what they fear losing. People ignore what they believe will still be there. So why does it happen? Why does a woman go quiet when you're showing interest? Why does she pull back the moment you lean in? Because you made her the prize. You turned her into the sun, and you became a planet. You started orbiting. You started adjusting your schedule, your mood, your confidence, your focus based on whether she gives you a crumb of attention. You stopped being a man with direction and became a man with a question mark. And women don't respect question marks. They may enjoy the power. They may enjoy the validation. They may enjoy the entertainment. But respect? No. Respect lives in certainty. Respect lives in boundaries. Respect lives in a man who is not asking for permission to exist. Let me define something for you. When someone's inconsistent with you, but keeps you close enough to stay hopeful, that's not romance. That's not mixed signals. That's called intermittent reinforcement. That's called the casino. Sometimes you win a little, so you keep pulling the lever. A hey stranger, a late night, what are you doing? A like on your story. A reply after 2 days with sorry I've been busy. And you light up like a dog that just heard the treat bag. That's called conditioning. And the cost is brutal. It costs you your peace. It costs you your focus. It costs you your dignity. It costs you your mission. You start waking up with her in your head before you even touch the ground. You start performing instead of building. You start negotiating with your own standards. You start thinking in strategies instead of truth. You stop training. You stop creating. You stop progressing. You stop sleeping well. You stop being dangerous. And then you wonder why she's not drawn to you. Listen closely. Chasing doesn't create desire. It creates familiarity. And familiarity without respect becomes irritation. That's why the more you push, the colder she gets. Because every extra message you send when she hasn't earned it communicates one thing: my time is cheap. My attention is unlimited. My self-control is weak. And even if she never says it out loud, her nervous system reads it. Now let's reframe this like a man. If she's ignoring you, you are being handed a gift. A painful one, but a real one. You are being shown exactly where you stand without the deception of sweet words. Silence is clarity. Silence is data. Silence is the system telling you, stop investing in what is not investing back. The weak man hears silence and tries to fill it. The strong man hears silence and respects it. He doesn't chase. He doesn't punish. He doesn't post thirst traps. He doesn't try to make her jealous. He doesn't craft paragraphs that sound mature. He doesn't Send the just checking in text, that is really a disguised plea. He simply withdraws access because access is the currency. Your attention is currency. Your time is currency. Your emotional availability is currency. And you've been spending it on someone who hasn't paid. So here's the psychology of regret. Real regret, not petty games. Regret isn't created by you begging her to come back. Regret is created when your absence has weight. But your absence only has weight if your presence had standards. If your presence was desperate, your absence is relief. If your presence was needy, your absence is peace. If your presence was clingy, your absence is freedom. Do you understand that? A man who chases becomes the problem she's escaping. A man who stands becomes the reality she has to calculate. That's the shift. Now I'm going to say something that might sting, but you need it. Her ego isn't destroyed by you insulting her. Her ego is destroyed when she realizes she can't control you. Not because you're trying to dominate her, because you're trying to own yourself. That's not manipulation. That's self-relimation. And the moment you stop chasing, something fascinating happens inside her. The story she was telling herself starts to break because in her mind, you were the guy who would always be there. You were the guy who would always reply. You were the guy who would keep offering emotional labor with no receipt. You were predictable, and predictable men are useful, not desired. When you remove yourself calmly, you introduce a new variable. Consequences, not loud consequences, not angry consequences, quiet consequences. That's called self-respect. Now let's talk about the man who embodies the solution. Picture him. He's not loud, he's not bitter, he's not performing masculinity like a costume. He's grounded. He's busy, not fake busy, purpose busy. He has priorities that existed before she entered his life and will exist after. He doesn't make women his calendar. He invites them into his calendar. He's clear. He's not vague to keep options. He's not afraid of saying what he wants, but he's also not afraid of walking away when what he wants isn't being met. He gives warmth, but he doesn't give it to someone who's cold. He gives attention, but he doesn't give it to someone who disappears. He gives effort, but he matches energy. And most importantly, he does not argue with reality. That's what you've been doing. You've been arguing with reality. Reality says she's not responding. Your fantasy says if I just say it right, she will. Reality says she's inconsistent. Your fantasy says she's just scared. She's just healing. She's just overwhelmed. Reality says she doesn't choose you. Your fantasy says she will once she realizes my value. Do you hear how childish that sounds when you say it out loud? You're not her therapist. You're not her savior. You're not her emotional support animal. You are a man, and a man's life cannot be built on maybe. So what do you do specifically when she ignores you? You do 3 things and you do them clean. First, you stop initiating. Clears throat. Not, I'll wait 2 days and then send something smooth. No, you stop. You let the silence be what it is. You let her feel the space she created. You do not chase her into the space and decorate it with your dignity. If you already sent a message and she didn't respond, you do not follow up. You don't double text. You don't just wanted to make sure you saw this. You don't send memes like a clown trying to win back attention with tricks. You let the message stand because you are not a telemarketer. Second, you redirect your energy immediately. Not tomorrow, not when you feel better, now the same night, the same hour, because your mind wants to obsess. And obsession is just undisciplined energy looking for a target. So give it a target. You go train hard, you go work focused, you clean your space like a man who respects his environment. You call a friend who sharpens you, not one who makes you whine. You build something. You learn something. You move because your body will follow your actions before your emotions catch up. You don't wait to feel confident. You move like a confident man until your nervous system remembers who you are. Third, you set a standard in your own mind and you keep it. This is where most men fail. They do the first 2, but they keep the door cracked open because they want the dopamine hit of her return. You don't do that. You decide what you tolerate and you live it. If she reaches out later with something lazy, something vague, something that treats you like an option, you do not reward it with instant access. If she returns to a man who has not been waiting, a man who has been living. That is the only version of you that can create a healthy dynamic anyway. Because if she comes back to a man who collapsed while she was gone, the relationship is already dead. It will be you trying to hold her with anxiety and her pulling away from your grip. Let's make this even clearer with a definition. When you give someone unlimited access with limited effort from them, you teach them to value you less. That's called self-discounting. And the man who stops self-discounting becomes rare. Now, you might be thinking, but what if she's genuinely busy? What if she's going through something? Okay, let's be adults. Busy people still communicate with the things they care about. If she can post on social media, she can reply. If she can talk to her friends, she can send one sentence. If she can live her life, she can give you clarity. And if she can't, that's fine. But then she's not ready for what you're offering, and you don't keep bleeding yourself out to understand. Understanding without boundaries is self-betrayal. And if you're honest, part of you doesn't even want clarity. Part of you wants the chase because the chase gives you a mission. It gives you a story. It gives you something to win. But you don't win people. You win your life. You don't conquer her attention. You conquer your need for it. That's the real upgrade. Now let's talk about the emotional arc you're stuck in and how to break it. Right now, her silence triggers a wound. It triggers the old story, I'm not enough. And you rush to fix that story by getting a response from her. That's called external validation, and it's a trap because it never ends. Even if she replies, you'll need another reply. Even if she shows interest, you'll need more proof. Because the real problem wasn't her silence. The real problem was the way you interpret silence as a verdict on your worth. A man with self-respect doesn't do that. He doesn't make one woman's mood the judge of his value. So, here's the reframe. Her ignoring you is not a signal to try harder. It is a signal to raise your standards. It is a signal to stop giving girlfriend-level access to someone giving you stranger-level effort. It is a signal to ask one simple question. Is this the type of connection a man like me accepts? And you better have an answer, because if your answer is, I'll take whatever I can get, then this will keep happening, not just with her, with the next one and the next, because the common denominator isn't women, it's your boundaries. Let's go deeper into why this creates regret in her. Again, not as a tactic, but as a psychological consequence. When you chase, she gets certainty without investment. She gets the comfort of being wanted without the responsibility of choosing. That inflates ego. Yes. But it also kills attraction, because attraction needs tension. It needs uncertainty. It needs the possibility of loss. When you stop chasing, you remove the free certainty. You restore balance. Now she has to face the truth. He's not available on demand. And if she had any genuine attraction, that truth will light it up. Not because you played a game, because you stopped playing yourself. And here's the part men don't understand. Women don't regret losing the man who begged. They regret losing the man who was solid. They regret the one who was consistent, calm, and self-contained. The one who offered something real, but didn't force it down their throat. The one who had standards, the one who could walk. That's the man your future self is asking you to become. So, if you want to do this instead, here is the sequence you follow. And you follow it like law. You stop messaging her completely. You stop stalking her social media, because that's still chasing just silently. You stop asking mutual friends about her. That's still chasing with intermediaries. You stop writing speeches in your notes app. That's still chasing in your mind. You stop rehearsing imaginary conversations. That's still begging for control. You redirect into your body. Train, sweat, suffer on purpose. You redirect into your money. Build, learn, execute. You redirect into your mission. Create, lead, improve. You redirect into your brotherhood. Surround yourself with men who don't let you collapse. And then you do the hardest part. You let her either meet you at your standard or disappear, because you're not afraid of losing someone who refuses to meet you. You're afraid of facing the emptiness you were covering with her, and that's what you actually have to conquer, not her silence, your dependency. Now, I can already hear the objection. Isn't that cold? Isn't that ego? Isn't that me being prideful? No, pride is pretending you don't care while you care too much. Self-respect is caring, but refusing to abandon yourself. You can care about her and still have a boundary. You can want her and still refuse to chase. You can feel the sting and still keep your spine. That's maturity. And if she comes back with real energy, real effort, real clarity, good. Then you evaluate from a position of strength, not hunger. You don't punish her. You don't lecture her. You don't act like a wounded king. You simply observe. You let her show you who she is now. But if she comes back with breadcrumbs, if she comes back because she's bored, if she comes back because she wants attention with no intention, you do not reward that. You don't need to be rude. You don't need to destroy anything with words. You destroy the old pattern by refusing to participate. That's the kill shot. Quiet, clean, done. And here's what will happen inside you if you do this correctly. At first, you will feel withdrawal because you were addicted. Yes, addicted to her attention, to the possibility, to the fantasy of being chosen. You'll feel the itch to reach out. You'll feel the urge to check. You'll feel the panic of what if she forgets me? Good. Let her forget the weak version of you. Let her forget the version of you that chased. Let her forget the version of you that begged. Let her forget the version of you that accepted scraps. Because the version of you that's coming doesn't need to be remembered. He needs to be recognized. And recognition happens when your energy changes, when your posture changes, when your life gets louder than your neediness. Understand this. Your value is not in your ability to convince someone. Your value is in your ability to choose. Weak men wait to be chosen. Strong men choose. And sometimes choosing means walking away from what your emotions want because your standards want more. That is masculine self-respect, not bravado, not cruelty, not alpha cosplay. Self-respect. Now, let's address the real fear under all of this. The fear is not that she's ignoring you. The fear is that she's ignoring you and you still want her. And that makes you feel powerless. But you're not powerless. You're undisciplined. Power is not getting her to reply. Power is you being able to sit in silence and not abandon yourself. Power is you not needing closure from someone who couldn't communicate. Power is you not trying to turn confusion into a relationship. Power is you not negotiating with someone's absence. And once you feel that power, something irreversible happens. You stop chasing, not because you're trying to get her back, but because chasing no longer matches your identity. That's the point. This is not a tactic to make her regret it. This is a line you draw to make you respect yourself. Because here's the truth over comfort framing you've been avoiding. If she wanted to talk to you, she would. If she wanted to see you, she would. If she valued you, she would make it known. If she respected you, she would be clear. And if she doesn't, then you don't need to decode her. You need to upgrade your standards. So the next time you feel the urge to send that message, ask yourself a question that will save your life. Am I about to act like a man or am I about to act like a boy trying to be chosen? Because every time you chase, you reinforce the boy. Every time you hold the line, you build the man. You stop. You breathe. You hold frame. You return to your purpose. Presence versus silence. Reality versus fantasy. Self-respect versus self-betrayal. Pick one. And don't tell me you want a high-quality woman if you're still acting like a low-standard man. High-quality women don't want a man they can ignore. They want a man they can respect. They want a man whose life is not a waiting room. So here's your identity reset. And I want you to say it like you mean it. You are not here to be tolerated. You are not here to be an option. You are not here to beg for basic decency. You are the standard. You are the selector. You are the man with a life. You are the answer. Not her text, not her mood, not her attention. You. And if you want more of this, more truth, more clarity, more correction when your emotions try to drag you back into old patterns, subscribe. Not because I need numbers, but because you need reinforcement. You need a place that doesn't lie to you, a place that doesn't coddle you, a place that reminds you who you're supposed to be when the lonely nights start negotiating. You're not alone in this. There's a community of men rebuilding their standards, rebuilding their discipline, rebuilding their self-respect, one hard choice at a time. Now put the phone down and go become the man she can't ignore because he's too busy living to chase.